The Curse of the Pharaohs, Ancient Egypt. Amidst the endless sands of Egypt, beneath ancient tombs, a curse still lurks to this day, terrifying archaeologists. Death will touch everyone who disturbs the peace of the pharaoh. This inscription was allegedly found in Tutankhamun's tomb. When archaeologist Howard Carter opened the tomb in 1922, it caused a sensation. But soon after, his patron, Lord Carnarvon, died. His dog howled and died at the same time. Then other members of the expedition died from infections, thrombosis, and strange accidents. Scientists suggest that mold or poisonous gases sealed in the tomb for millennia are to blame. But the legend of the Curse of the Pharaohs is still alive and fuels the mysterious aura of the Valley of the Kings. The Curse of Timur. Tamerlane, Samarkand, Uzbekistan. In 1941, Soviet scientists opened the tomb of one of the most formidable conquerors of the Middle Ages, Tamerlane. A warning was carved on the stone above the sarcophagus. "Whoever disturbs my peace will be struck by a war more terrible than any other." The tomb was opened on June 19th. Exactly 3 days later, on June 22nd, the Great Patriotic War began. Germany invaded the USSR. Soldiers and generals, hearing about the curse, demanded that Tamerlane's remains be returned. In 1942, by Stalin's decision, he was reburied with honors, and almost immediately Soviet troops began to win. Timur's curse is one of the most mysterious coincidences of the 20th century. The Curse of the Hope Diamond. India, France, USA. This rare blue diamond, weighing 45.5 carats, was, according to legend, stolen from a temple in India, where it adorned a statue of the god Shiva. For this sacrilege, the stone was supposedly cursed. It was later acquired by Louis XIV and then by Marie Antoinette. Both were beheaded. The next owner, an English nobleman, died under mysterious circumstances. One of the owners jumped out of a window, another died in a car accident. Even insurance companies refused to insure the hope. The stone is now kept at the Smithsonian Institution. No one dares to wear it anymore. Otherwise, death or madness will follow. The Curse of Macbeth, Great Britain. Shakespeare allegedly used real witchcraft spells when writing Macbeth. According to legend, when the witches found out about this, they put a curse on the play. Since then, many misfortunes have been associated with productions of Macbeth. During one of the first performances, the actor playing Macbeth died on stage. In another case, the scenery collapsed, killing several people. Actors refuse to say the name of the play in the theater. They call it the Scottish play. If someone breaks this taboo, they must immediately leave the theater, turn around 3 times, spit over their left shoulder, and utter a curse to lift the curse. The Curse of Oak Island, Canada. Since the 1700s, rumors have circulated that Oak Island hides untold treasures, possibly the Templars' gold. Hundreds of treasure hunters have tried to find it, but instead, they died, lost everything, or disappeared without a trace. Legend has it that the treasure will only be revealed after 7 lives have been sacrificed. So far, 6 deaths have been confirmed. The island is riddled with tunnels, mines, and mysterious traps. Finds include chains, ciphers, and ancient artifacts, but the treasure has yet to be found. The Curse of the Suicide Dress, Great Britain. A museum in Great Britain has a 19th century evening gown that has been given the ominous nickname suicide dress. It was worn by women who soon committed suicide or died in tragic circumstances. The curse is associated with a seamstress who cursed the dress when she was unfairly fired. Since then, every new owner of the garment has faced loss, mental illness, or death. The dress is now kept under glass and must not be touched. The Curse of the Black Amati Violin, Italy. This violin belonged to the great master Amati. It is said that it was played during black masses and sacrifices. One violinist who acquired the instrument began to suffer from nightmares, heard voices, and eventually disappeared. Another committed suicide right in the middle of a concert. The instrument seems to remember tragedies and pass them on to its next owners. It is now kept in a private collection, and no one dares to play it anymore. The Curse of the Kennedy Family, United States. One of America's most tragic dynasties. The Kennedy family gave the world politicians, millionaires, philanthropists, and a string of unnatural deaths, misfortunes, and disasters. It all began with Joseph Kennedy Sr., who, according to rumors, made a deal for the sake of his son's success. His eldest son Joseph died in a plane crash during World War II. President John Kennedy was assassinated in 1963 under mysterious circumstances. His brother Robert was assassinated in front of the press in 1968. John Jr. died in a plane crash in 1999. Accidents, murders, overdoses, disasters. All of this adds up to an image of an ancient family curse hanging over the Kennedy name. Many occultists believe that somewhere in the past, a serious sacrifice was made for the sake of power, and the retribution continues. The Curse of the Suvar Manuscript, Eastern Europe. A secret book found in the ruins of an ancient monastery contains text written in an unknown language. Historians and cryptographers have tried unsuccessfully to decipher it, but anyone who spent too much time with it began to suffer from nightmares, mental disorders, and disappeared. According to one hypothesis, the text is a set of spells dictated by a spirit or demon. The manuscript is kept in a closed archive. Some believe that it is the key to ancient powers that should not be awakened. The Curse of the Koh-i-Noor Diamond, India, Great Britain. The Koh-i-Noor, which translates from Persian as Mountain of Light, is one of the most famous and cursed gemstones in history. It weighs 105 carats and has passed from one ruler to another for centuries, often after bloody wars and betrayals. The stone adorned the crowns of the great Mughals, the Shahs of Persia, and the Maharajas of India. It is believed that every man who owns the Koh-i-Noor will suffer and lose his power or his life. This is confirmed by the fate of its owners, the fall of empires, murders, and exile. When the stone fell into the hands of the British and ended up in Queen Victoria's crown, it was decided to use it exclusively for female monarchs in order to circumvent the curse. To this day, no British king has worn a crown with this stone. The Curse of the Suicide Forest, Aokigahara Forest, Japan. At the foot of the sacred Mount Fuji lies the dense and silent Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Suicide Forest. The bodies of people who have come here to end their lives are regularly found here. It is believed that the forest is steeped in sadness and evil. According to legend, in ancient times, the elderly and sick were brought here to die, left without food or water. Locals believe that the souls of these dead have not left the forest, and now Yurei Japanese ghosts lure new victims. Inside the forest, compasses often stop working, people disappear, and strange sounds can be heard. This phenomenon is a curse on the place, which in itself causes anxiety, melancholy, and an inexplicable desire to disappear forever. The Curse of the Black Mark from the Titanic, England, Atlantic Ocean. Much has been said about the Titanic, but one of the lesser-known stories is the mystical curse associated with the very idea of unsinkability. Superstitious sailors said from the very beginning that building a ship that was supposedly beyond the control of God and the elements was tantamount to provoking the wrath of higher powers. According to one legend, an ancient artifact, the mummy of an Egyptian priestess, was mistakenly loaded onto the ship. The tomb was cursed, and it was this that supposedly brought disaster. After the crash, there were numerous reports of ghosts, visions, and rumors that the artifact sank with the ship and still lies at the bottom of the Atlantic, spreading a curse on anyone who dares to disturb its peace. The Curse of the Templars, France. In 1307, by order of King Philip IV the Fair, the entire order of the Templars was arrested powerful knights who guarded the Holy Land and possessed enormous wealth. Before being burned at the stake, Grand Master Jacques de Molay cursed the king and Pope Clement V. I curse you. In a year, you will stand before God's judgment. Surprisingly, both the Pope and the king died within a year. Moreover, the Capetian dynasty ended after several generations, leaving France in a series of crises. The Curse of the Templars became one of the most famous medieval legends, in which personal revenge was intertwined with mysticism and the decline of an entire royal dynasty. The Curse of the Robert Doll, United States. This doll inspired the movie The Curse of Annabelle, but it has its own true story. Robert belonged to a boy named Eugene Otto in the early 20th century. Rumor had it that the doll was made by a servant from Haiti who practiced voodoo. Eugene often said that Robert talked to him and that the doll moved on its own. Neighbors claimed to have seen it looking out of windows when no one was home. After the family's death, the doll was put on display in a Florida museum. Today, visitors claim that if you don't ask Robert for permission before taking a photo, problems can arise: accidents, illnesses, job losses. The museum is flooded with letters of apology trying to lift the curse. The curse of the number 27, Club 27 USA, the whole world. Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse. They all died at the age of 27. This age has become a kind of curse for talented musicians who were consumed by fame, drugs, and inner demons. The term Club 27 appeared after Cobain's death and became established after the tragedy with Winehouse. Researchers and mystics believe that this age is not just a coincidence, but a kind of energy threshold for particularly gifted people who could not cope with the burden of fame and inner darkness. Astrologers and occultists associate this with the return of Saturn in a person's natal chart, a time when an internal crisis occurs. The curse of Easter Island, Oceania. The famous moai, giant stone heads on Easter Island, are not just an archaeological wonder. According to legend, they hold the souls of ancestors and have magical powers. But when Europeans started taking statues and sacred objects taboo from the island. In the 19th century, a series of misfortunes began. Locals say that the curse of the ancestors destroyed the culture, brought disease, and cursed the colonizers. Even modern researchers who have visited the island have reported strange occurrences: illnesses, disasters, hallucinations. Easter Island is shrouded in mystery, and one of them may be the curse of angry spirits disturbed by greedy visitors. The Curse of Poltergeist, the movie, USA. The cult horror movie Poltergeist, 1982, turned out to be scary, not only on screen. During filming and after the film's release, several actors died under strange circumstances. Heather O'Rourke, the girl who played the lead role, died at the age of 12 from a rare disease. Dominique Dunne was killed by her boyfriend shortly after the premiere. Other members of the film crew also died during the sequel. Many believe that the use of real human skeletons in the film's scenes is to blame, causing the spirits to become angry. The film became not only a legend of the genre, but also a terrifying example of a mystical curse on the film industry. The Curse of Hongchuan, China. According to Chinese legends, a palace for the emperor of the Tang dynasty was built in the city of Hongchuan. But the architect, who was dismissed for a mistake, cursed the place. Whoever builds a house here will never see their grandchildren. Over the course of 300 years, almost all the buildings in this area collapsed, and the inhabitants suffered from disease and childlessness. Even in the 20th century, attempts to erect buildings ended in strange collapses or the disappearance of workers. As a result, the authorities banned any construction on this land, and the inhabitants are convinced that the curse is still in effect. The Curse of Kubera's Skull, India, Nepal. Kubera is the Hindu god of wealth. A skull covered in gold and decorated with jewels was found in one of the temples. When local monks removed it from the temple and sold it to a collector, a series of deaths began. The collector died of a fever. The next owner was killed in a car accident. The skull ended up in a private museum where fires, equipment breakdowns, and disappearances began to occur. Later, it became clear that it was a ritual object that was forbidden to be taken out of the country. The skull was returned to the monastery. Only then did the curse end. The Curse of Shah-e-Zinda, Uzbekistan. The mausoleum complex in Samarkand is one of the holiest places of Islam in Central Asia. It is believed that the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad is buried here. According to legend, anyone who enters the main mausoleum with impure thoughts will die within a year. During the Soviet era, archaeologists decided to open the mausoleums. Almost the entire group later died of cancer or accidents. Locals claim that the peace of the saints must not be disturbed. Otherwise, the curse will catch up with you. The Curse of the Black Mark from Papua New Guinea. The Asmat tribe has a ritual. If a person breaks a taboo, they draw a black mark, a tattoo, or mark on the body. After that, the person begins to be haunted by a series of misfortunes: illness, animal attacks, and the death of loved ones. In the 20th century, European missionaries tried to eradicate this practice, and a year later, the mission burned down. Researchers who took skulls and artifacts with them died under mysterious circumstances. Today, The tribes continue to believe that violators of sacred customs will be marked and cursed. The curse of the snake goddess, Kalama. Southeast Asia. Kalama is an ancient snake goddess worshipped in Burma and Laos. Legend has it that her temple was guarded by a guardian spirit who sent disease and madness upon those who desecrated the statues. In the 1980s, a collector from France took the snake statue out of the country. 2 months later, he began to experience hallucinations and paralysis. His family fell ill with a strange skin disease. After his death, the statue was returned to Burma, and the temple was sealed again. Locals claim that Kala Ma takes revenge for every act of sacrilege. The curse of the Chanchero mummy, Peru. A female mummy found in the mountains of Peru was nicknamed the cursed wife of Chanchero. Legend has it that she was a priestess betrayed by her own people. At the moment of her death, she cursed all who would disturb her peace. Since then, archaeologists have encountered equipment breakdowns, missing exhibits, and strange deaths when attempting to transport her. Even the museum where the mummies were kept burned down 6 months later. Her return to the mountains stopped the string of disasters, but many are convinced that the priestess is still seeking her revenge. The curse of the polar mummy, Greenland. When archaeologists arrived in snow-covered Greenland in the mid-20th century, they weren't looking for curses, they were looking for history. Among the ancient burial caves of the Inuit tribe, they found what they would call a scientific discovery. The bodies of 8 perfectly preserved mummies, 6 women and 2 children, wrapped in fur with faces that looked as if they were asleep. Their age was estimated at 500 years. Not believing in superstitions, the researchers transported the mummies to Denmark for study. And that's when it started. The first to die was the pilot who transported the remains. His plane crashed in clear weather. Shortly thereafter, several members of the expedition began to die under strange circumstances. One from a rare infection, another in a fire in his own home, and a third disappeared in the Arctic on a repeat mission. Those who survived complained of nightmares and disturbing visions, and some claimed to have heard quiet children's voices coming from the mummy display case in the museum. Local residents said that the spirits of the Inuit had been disturbed and were now restoring balance. According to the beliefs of this people, the dead cannot be taken from their land otherwise. The soul will not find peace and will seek revenge. The mummies are still kept in a museum in Copenhagen. But employees, especially new ones, try not to linger in front of their display case. Because they say, when the lights go out in the museum, one of the female mummies opens her eyes.